Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel for episode number 5 of the Rebuilding Chelsea series. We are getting into the meat and potatoes now of this series. This episode today we focus on the midfielders, who needs to stay, who needs to go, with Mauricio Pochettino looking as though he is about to become the next Chelsea manager. We've got to start thinking about previous Pochettino teams, similar players that Chelsea might have now, where Pochettino's experience of both developing but also using certain characteristics of midfielder could come into play at Chelsea Football Club. So this is where the problems really begin. When we start moving from the goalkeepers into the defenders, you guys can see the tier list of where we're at right now. In terms of the definitives, or let's say the unsafe category is lack of definitives at this point from me, as to how I think Chelsea should manage this reshuffle. Or is it really a reshuffle of the squad? Is it more of just like a booting a load of players out, a reboot basically, and then you hope when you turn your computer on, which is our squad, a lot of the clutter in the recycle bin empty? That's basically what Chelsea need to do. Now, in terms of the midfield for this episode of Rebuilding Chelsea, we're going to talk specifically about central midfielders. That can be in a defensive position, in more of like a number 6, or you could have a look at like an 8 kind of position that we've been seeing Mateo Kovacic do. I want to talk a bit as well about how Jorginho leaving Chelsea has really opened our eyes to the problems that Chelsea have in the midfield, which in a way, I could say that if Jorginho was still here, I think Chelsea probably wouldn't be doing as bad as we have been, which is a crazy thing in hindsight to think about. And I understand the business behind this here. Chelsea knew we either lose Jorginho for free in 2 months from now, or we sell him in January to Arsenal, get some money in our pockets, and with all of the FFP conversations that we've heard about Chelsea needing to sell, we kind of got a head start on that. But at the same time, it seriously shows the lack of quality and depth that Chelsea have in the midfield positions. This summer, it is 110% essential that Chelsea sign a defensive midfielder. If we do not sign a defensive midfielder, then A, it kind of makes the signing of Enzo Fernandez pointless, because we will be stifling his development, because undoubtedly we'll be asking him to sit in front of the defence and do the job of a defensive midfielder. Stifling means you basically ruin all of the best potential by making him do something he shouldn't be. So Enzo Fernandez as a signing, we will get the best out of Enzo depending on how well we manage the business coming in to Chelsea this summer. The interesting thing about the midfield as well is we've got Andre Santos to look forward to. Now you can see the safety graphic here with N'Golo Kante, Enzo Fernandez, I've put Carney Chukwuemeka in there, and also Andre Santos. With Mauricio Pochettino coming in, this is a brilliant sign for players like Chukwuemeka and like Santos. Santos, we couldn't get him registered in January due to work permit issues and the Premier League basically thinking that Andre Santos was not 100% necessary and needed at this point in time for Chelsea Football Club, which when you see that we lose every single flipping game, Andre Santos has been killing it back at Vasco da Gama, was killing it for Brazil. He's even made his senior debut now. So this guy's ready for Chelsea, and Chelsea are ready for him. With Chukwuemeka as well, he'll be very much looking forward to Pochettino coming in. So far we're led to believe that Pochettino wants to have a core at Chelsea of homegrown players. And this doesn't always necessarily have to be English players, but in the case of the Chelsea Academy and the youth that we've got coming through the setup, the majority of them are indeed English due to a lot of different rules and regulations about how Chelsea's academy needs to be. And Chukwuemeka is one of those players, when you look at the £20 million price tag, you're thinking, what if Chelsea bought here, and with the demands of immediate success at Chelsea Football Club, with the inability to be able to give managers time because we need to win trophies, we need to win football matches. You're wondering, what is the pathway into the first team for someone like a Carney Chukwuemeka or an Andre Santos? When you look at N'Golo Kante, we're talking about a player who can't stay fit, who is towards the tail end of his career. Chelsea need to be building for the future, and I do think there is one player that Chelsea need to buy this summer who is not only a leader to add leadership in there, he's also young to the point where Mauricio Pochettino can work with him to mould him into the kind of player Chelsea need and want. Declan Rice is that player. For whatever reason, there are some people that just think Declan Rice isn't the kind of player Chelsea should be going for. Look at what Declan Rice has done in the past couple of weeks. He's added goals to his game. Not only that, but he's the captain of West Ham, a big London club, not as big as Chelsea, but it's a massive job. He's got them to 2 European semi-finals over the course of the last 2 seasons, and I think Declan Rice can do everything. And when we look at the comments that Pochettino's been making about having a homegrown core at Chelsea to build this club culture, which, by the way, whether it is saying all the right things to get the fans on side or not, I love this. I think it is important that Chelsea aspire to create a spine of the team similar to a Czech, Lampard, Ashley Cole, Terry, Lampard, Drogba. I think that is exactly what Chelsea should be trying to do in a world where it is more difficult now, and you could say we were lucky to have these players coming through at the club at that time, but Chelsea need to be aspiring to build a team under Todd Boehly similar to what we did under Frank Lampard. And with the midfield, this is the anchor of the team. You've got to need players in there who can help the defence but also help going forward. This is why I think Andre Santos will be involved with the Chelsea first team next season, because he is at an age where Mauricio Pochettino can mould him into something beneficial for the team, but also develop Santos as an individual for the benefits of his own career. We then move into a graphic of unsafe midfielders at Chelsea Football Club. And these guys, Mateo Kovacic, this is such a tough one because on his day, Kovacic is a phenomenal footballer. However, at the highest level, when Chelsea aren't scoring enough goals, we're looking good enough defensively, and yet there are still better defence-minded midfielders at the club. Enzo's better defensively than Kova. Kante's better defensively than Kova. Kovacic press resistant. But it's at this point now where I've stood here for 3 years talking to you lot about how great it is that Mateo Kovacic is so press resistant, can win the ball back in the middle, keep hold of it and offload it. But how many assists are we talking? How many goals are we talking? How many key passes into the final third, defence, line-breaking passes are we talking about from Mateo Kovacic? Unfortunately, not enough. So at this point in time, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I also think the ceiling of his quality at Chelsea Football Club has been hit. I don't see him improving. I don't see him getting better. And if Chelsea want to rebuild and create a team that can win things, we can't just be talking about average to good utility players. We have got to be looking to strengthen in positions, and it's essential that we narrow this squad number down from above 30 right now to a 25-man squad. So for that reason, Ruben Loftus-Cheek needs to be sold. Kovacic is unsafe due to that contract. He said the right things recently to make fans think, yeah, he loves to be here, loves it in London, his family love it in London, but I'm not sure if he is at the level of a Declan Rice and maybe even Romeo Lavia. Tottenham Hotspur under Mauricio Pochettino. What did Mauricio Pochettino do to Christian Eriksen, Dele Alli? He made those two players have the best seasons of their careers. Could we see Kai Havertz doing something like Dele Alli did under Pochettino? And could we see Pochettino create Mason Mount into the beast that Christian Eriksen was at Tottenham Hotspur? At the moment, Mount is still unsafe because he's not signed that new deal, and we know the facts. If Mount doesn't sign a new contract, Mount is sold this summer. with Kai Havertz, I've put him in this midfield video to make a point that he's not one of the attackers. In the next Rebuilding Chelsea episode tomorrow, we talk about the attackers. Kai Havertz is not a striker. And to an extent, I feel sorry for him for the amount of times I just give him stick, because he's being asked to play out a position all year because Chelsea don't have strikers. Oh wait, we do. We've got Fofana. You've even got Mason Burstow turning up with 10 goals, 5 assists so far in the Premier League 2 this season. These are strikers that Chelsea have at the club. Aubameyang, also at the club, proper striker. Whether he can cut it or not and wants to be at Chelsea, irrelevant. But Havertz is being asked to be a number 9 all season long. Kai Havertz has been his best at Chelsea, I would argue, playing as a number 8 with Frank Lampard. Could we see Pochettino, a far more experienced manager, get the best out of a player like Kai Havertz if he plays him as a number 8, or is it a number 10? But I do think the most important thing we need to look at here, we haven't even spoken yet about Conor Gallagher, who once again is unsafe because the valuation Chelsea have of him, FFP, pure profit if we sell him. If Chelsea can get the 50 million euros that we're asking for, clubs like Dortmund are interested, Newcastle are interested, and I think Gallagher would thrive somewhere like that, where maybe the pressure to succeed immediately isn't necessarily on 24/7. So with a player of Gallagher's ability, where he does a lot of hard work for the team, does a lot of running, but at Chelsea we need end product with that. If he's not playing directly as a number 6, which I don't think Gallagher can do, he's not worked too well in the pivot, then there needs to be goals, there needs to be contributions. And you can argue that because of the massive rebuild that needs to be done all over the club and the pitch, there isn't the opportunity for your Gallaghers, your Mounts to stat pad themselves right now, because there's no one putting the ball in the net when you move forward. So it's all a catch-22. But I think in order for Chelsea to properly rebuild and get the best out of A, what we have, B, Mauricio Pochettino coming in, the goal needs to be sign a defensive midfielder and either mould Havertz and Mount into that ferocious potential Eriksen-esque number 8 that he was at Spurs under Pochettino, or, in my opinion, Enzo Fernandez as a number 8. This is where I'm kind of excited with Poch, because at the moment, as I said at the start of this video, we've not unlocked and tapped into that potential going forward with Enzo yet, because we've been so dull in attack and there is no one there to protect the defence right now. N'Golo Kante will of course stay, and if we can keep him fit and get the best out of him, that is very good news for Chelsea Football Club. Declan Rice, Romeo Lavia. If Chelsea get both of these, then we can afford to sell Gallagher, Kovacic, and maybe even one of Havertz or Mount as well. I don't think there's a world where Chelsea can sell Kovacic, Gallagher, Mount and Havertz. I think that is too much of an overhaul, and as we said throughout the series, we need a new goalkeeper, we also need a new striker. So, this summer, Chelsea either need a DM and another number 8, or we just need a world-class, game-changing, match-winning defensive midfielder, and I think that player is Declan Rice. Take a look on the screen now. This is where I'm at come the end of this video, including the midfielders. You can see it in the tier list here. Ruben sold, and I want Mason Mount to stay. So I want to put him in the safe category. But Kovacic, Gallagher, we need to see if Chelsea get that top DM. If Chelsea can sign a Rice, then I think we could probably afford to offload both, because from what I've seen so far, output-wise, not good enough. We're here to be brutal. This is Rebuilding Chelsea. Check the link in the description to the playlist if you want to watch the videos where I talk about defenders, goalkeepers, the owners, and the managerial situation, which now seems to be coming to a conclusion. And it's Pochettino. Poch can build. Poch can develop. And I think Chelsea have currently got midfielders at the club who, working under Pochettino, will be world beaters potentially. I know it's a big statement, but I think Mount could do it. And maybe there is an outside chance that Havertz could do a Dele Alli-esque role. And Ali was fantastic, voice crack, under Pochettino at Tottenham. Let's see. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this series. I look forward to seeing what Poch can do with the likes of Andre Santos and Kane Chukwuemeka, who I think will have big parts to play in the future in the Chelsea midfield. Come on, you Blues.